Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
He had full function. He was doing great, but he was nervous because they didn't know what caused it. And so how can we tell if there's going to be another one, right? So he took time off work and kind of worked on getting healthy, setting some better habits, even though he is fairly healthy, changing some of his eating and working more diligently on some exercise beyond his job, because he has a physical job, so he doesn't always do additional cardio. So he's been working on those things and doing really well there. And of course, being a man, he lost weight like that. And I'm like, how would that be?
I know, don't you hate that? But I love
And he
having
gets
you
on the
here on
scale.
the edge with me and my brains.
I'm so excited.
We was just having a green room conversation here, and I didn't record all of it because that's her personal affairs. But she did mention something to me that really kind of touched my heart. You talked about the cost of insurance.
Yes.
And, as you say, affordable, that is not affordable.
Not at all.
You said that originally for a family, how many's in your family?
We have 5 kids, so there's 7 of us.
Shut the front door.
All boys.
I didn't know you had 5 kids.
Oh, you can tell I've been a busy girl.
Wow. And you said that $400 would have covered health care for your entire family, and now you can't afford it.
No, I mean, it's outrageous. Yeah. It's not logical to pay $1,500 a month and still have a $10,000 deductible and have nothing covered after $10,000. I'd rather just put that money in the bank and pay my own way, And until you have a major medical problem, it actually works pretty well. They give pretty good discounts for cash pay. Major medical kind of changes it, though.
They do, but I don't know what's going on in the world, because now we got we got number 46. Girl, I call them, I don't even call them by their name. I don't care who it is. I call them by their number. Okay. So now we got 46, and old Slow Joe is going to try to do everything that he can to try to, make it affordable. But I've got a huge Canadian following. And what they tell me about socialized medicine is that you can, you don't have to pay, but you might have to wait 3 months to see a specialist.
Right. And everybody keeps talking about socialized medicine. And I'm like, I don't think that's the answer. I personally thought our healthcare system was really good before, but then we didn't have pre-existing conditions. On the flip side of that, I have a friend who had a daughter that had childhood cancer and they couldn't get insurance. So I see both sides of it. I just think there's got to be a common ground that will work and make it more realistic for everyone, for the masses, rather than just help a few and hurt a bunch.
And it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off, and it's really, really sad. I was telling my girlfriend the other day that if I went right now, something happened to Mr. Magnificent, I'd have to sell everything I have. Yes, girl, that's my dude. But I'd have to sell everything I have to be able to get some social service. And he's worked 40 years. I've worked 20 years, 25 years in a corporate setting. So we all set up, but we're waiting for Social Security, waiting for those entitlements, which we'll never probably see.
No.
It's really a shame. It's really a shame. So
I think the goal is to be.
How's your husband doing now? How's he feeling now?
Oh, he's doing really well now. I mean, surprisingly, people are shocked. Even right after they were shocked that he just suffered a heart attack and a stroke, and he's feeling more confident to not be as concerned that something's going to happen. He's kind of getting used to the fact that it's been 3 months, almost 4, and he's feeling pretty good. So he's no longer walking around with that burden on his shoulder that, oh my gosh, this could happen again any moment. He's
got
living life.
He's got 6 other people. I can see why he's stressed.
Right.
But you're doing some great things. You're here on the edge. You wrote in your book, not in your book, you wrote as a contributor to an anthology inside of a book. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Christine. That's Christine Lavulo.
Lavulo.
Uh-huh. Lavulo.
Yep, Lavulo, just like it's spelled Lavulo.
Lavulo.
My husband's from a small Pacific island called Tonga, and so.
Okay. you got you a nice island man.
I did. Never a dull moment.
So what you doing up there in Utah?
What do I do up here in Utah?
Yeah, what you doing in Utah? What is there to do?
Besides ski? No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't ski, and I've lived here my whole life. So it's
I
kind of a
used to ski.
travesty.
Now I can't ski anymore. I used to pour the cocktails at the
You
lodge
go.
when you could go, and now you can't go anywhere.
Right. Well, see, and that's why I think we have a lot of people moving to Utah, because we have a pretty liberal situation here with COVID. I mean, we do have to wear masks in public and follow some specific restrictions. Our restaurants do have a limited capacity, but it's about half, where I know a lot of places are at 30% capacity. So we still can have some events to a degree as long as we follow certain protocols. So I would say we're probably like more than 50% open, probably closer to 75% open in our state.
Like as far as people, being sick and in the hospital.
We haven't had it too bad. We had an influx probably right after summer when kids first went back to school. And it kind of hit a really hard part during the flu season, like that prime tip. But now we're back down to maybe only, under 1,000 cases a day. And we have had an increase in deaths because those people who've been hanging on forever are finally kind of succumbing.
You cold-blooded. You say been hanging on forever, like they a little
right.
on the
I know, poor choice of words, right? But I do know people who've lost someone to COVID, and it's like they are hanging on for life.
Well,
and then
Utah, the Mormons, if anything go down, baby, I'm with them. It was.
Hey, I'm there. I'm LDS. So I'm a member of the Mormon Church, as it's called.
Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you my Mormon experience, right?
Okay.
So I am the outreach coordinator for the American Red Cross.
Mm.
I was at that time. I'm going around and I'm preaching to the masses about, are you prepared in the event of a disaster? So I get invited to come and speak at the Mormon church. Or do you call it church or temple?
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah. So our church, a temple's a little different.
Okay.
But yeah, the church.
So I go there and, everybody's reading me my rights. Oh, they don't like black people and blah, 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 blah. And girl, they not going to welcome you and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to take my chance. Okay. I don't believe that. I have my own experience.
Right.
They're not going to not like me because I'm a black woman. They're not going to like me because there's something that I did, because I'm charming as hell. I mean, look, me and you are here together.
Right.
I get to the Mormon church. And I get to talking, and I'm looking around, and let me tell you, you are the most prepared people for a disaster or an emergency that I have ever seen in my life. And when Hurricane Katrina happened,
mm-hmm.
It was under the shadow of darkness. You put truckloads of food and supplies in there. You didn't need to be all on CNN and ABC and all that. You did it from your heart. And those are mostly black people that were underserved and overlooked. Right. And let me tell you, they put me, I get chills when I think about it. They put me in the circle, and they all, and this is a big church here. They all grabbed hands and they prayed for me. They prayed for me. So don't, brains, I'm telling you, don't believe what everybody say. Because they're going to say
Mormons aren't crazy and we don't have horns.
No. And you know what? And just like when the Mormons come to my door, or the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm thankful that you're trying to bring me salvation.
Right.
I may not agree, I may have my own thoughts, but the fact that you had the courage to walk the streets like Jesus did and knock on doors and be subjected to all kinds of, hysteria and
persecution,
and dogs sicking on you and all that kind of stuff. I give a love offering. I take the literature and I'm gonna flip through it, because you don't know what you don't know.
So true. That's so true. And I love how you brought up the point, because a lot of people do have these preconceived notions that that the church is kind of racist. And I won't say that there haven't been some racism in the history, because we all have history, right? We've all have history.
There's racism,
right?
There.
But my oldest son's dad is he's a black man from Alabama, moved here when he was a senior in high school. His father was a minister of the Baptist church, and they transferred them to Utah the senior year of my son's dad. And you know, I my parents never had an issue with him being black. They just didn't like that he wasn't a member of our church and that we didn't have the same religious beliefs. But he has since actually joined the church, and he's a bishop now. And
Wow.
so it's kind of interesting to see how I always like to get his perspective of how have you experienced that, especially leaving when you've been raised so heavily in the Baptist church, your dad was a minister or things like that, and to see him and his story and the way he's changed his life. I mean, not that he had anything wrong with him, and he was great with the Bible and stuff, but just to see the way it enhanced his life to make those changes was kind of miraculous.
And it is. And you know what? I don't know how your kids, how do they adjust to that? Because it's a disciplined lifestyle.
It is, and I can't say that my kids have fully embraced it. I think everybody has their own path, and growing up, I didn't always follow what we were taught. I got pregnant in high school, which obviously goes against our religious beliefs to, have premarital sex, and had this child, then ended up getting pregnant again at 22 from a different father, had 2 kids by the time I was 22 with 2 different dads, never been married. So I am like the one that people say, oh, you must have been really rejected. But I never, ever, ever felt rejected by the people from my church, ever. They embraced me. They loved me. They fellowshipped me. They asked what they could do to serve me. They were really good to me. And I realize that's not everybody's experience. I'm just fortunate that that's mine. And maybe part of that's just my mindset of always seeing the good in people and not looking for the bad.
Right.
But so I kind of had my, my time of kind of going off the other way and experiencing life a different way. And my kids have done that too.
But that made you stronger in your faith.
It did. I think so. It made me stronger in a lot of things, but especially solidified my testimony for sure.
And so I commend you. Brains,
thank you.
That's not what this interview here on the Edge was supposed to be about.
But you never know what you'll get, huh?
Hey, let me tell you, when God show up, he shows
right.
up. Okay?
Right.
And just gonna reveal it to you. I like to have this perspective because, again, I had a woman on here a few weeks ago that talked about voodoo.
Ooh, that scares me a little. Was she from Florida? Louisiana? I know they got a lot of that down there.
You know what? But let me tell you something. The education that she gave me was unbelievable.
Again, dispelling myths.
It was dispelling myths. And you have to think about people that are coming from Africa or the Caribbean, indigenous tribal people.
Right.
They're not worried about affordable health care. They're dealing with the witch doctor. Really. I mean, it's different.
Seriously, I think there's something to that, though, holistic.
It's about the blood. It's about the food. It's about the culture. It's about the burning and the burnt offering. It's a whole different thing. They cutting in for carving, for decoration and ceremonial reasons. Ooh. But what she taught me was that, this was their culture. And when they were enslaved and they were brought to Louisiana and dropped off from, the Caribbean, or Africa or whatever, they tried to incorporate, because again, so much like life, they don't want you to acculturate. They want you to assimilate. They want you to align. Okay. And what happens ultimately is assassination of your heart, your character, your spirit, all of it. There's a breakdown of that. But she said, the deities and the candles and all of that was trying to incorporate what they had learned, but also fit into the Christianity strength of their, their newfound keepers. Okay? Right. And so these energies and these forces came up. Because I know when I was in New Orleans, I would walk past a voodoo shop and I told my husband, I said, I don't want to go in there, but it was like an energy. I mean, it was like pulling me. It was like a force. And I went in there and it validated a lot of what she was saying. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. But what are you doing? And what are you pouring into people? Outside of, your faith. Right. I'm sure that you're working with, young women and other women that have been going through a whole lot. Because I also hear this too, and dispel this myth, but polygamy is okay in Latter-day Saints.
Okay, so I will dispel this myth. So in the early years of the church, when the Latter-day Saints were being persecuted, and they were literally being burned out of their homes, told that they could not stay in a country that's supposed to be founded on religious belief. We were persecuted because of our religious belief and continually driven out of our homes. So they would get to a new place, a new territory, build, and then get pushed out, and build and get pushed out. And the women were raped and pillaged, and the men were tarred and feathered. I mean, there was just a lot that they endured. But as they came across the plains, they lost a lot of people, particularly men. And so you've got to imagine all these women and children that have no husbands. So Joseph Smith received revelation to institute polygamy for a season. So they did. I'm sure there was some negatives in that. I'm sure there were some positives in that. I'm sure some of the women were really fortunate and grateful to have someone step in and help be a father to their children. I'm sure there was also a lot of resentment and issues there, right? Because polygamy, I wouldn't be okay with it. And then they came to Utah, established Utah, and then eventually wanted to become a state. And we're told you can't as long as you're practicing polygamy. And I mean, I personally think, again, that it was just for a season, and the Lord said, okay, let's disband polygamy. And so polygamy ended for the LDS church, I want to say in the 1800s. But some people defected and said, no, we don't feel like that's really of God. We feel like you're succumbing to men. And they defected and started their own church. So there's a lot of offshoots of the LDS church where they do practice polygamy, like the FLDS church. Some, I think, in the RLDS church might practice. None of that is founded on doctrine from our original doctrine. I mean, it's not. It's really gotten twisted and turned into something really wicked.
My thing is, if he's a stud and he can hold it down and he can pay the bill and we can eat, do what you do.
Let's get real. Some of us at times think, I wouldn't mind a sister wife. Like, I wouldn't mind somebody sharing the chores, right? But it's interesting because I
imagine.
Yeah, I think that there's some families that probably did really well with it, and I think that all comes down to a personal conviction and personal commitment, and also truly how connected you are to God. Because if you receive personal revelation and you feel like this is what's right, and it's all aligned with biblical principles, because I think that's what it comes down to. The Bible's truth. I mean, for me as a Christian, the Bible's truth. So if I look at that and say, if this aligns with the Bible, then it's okay. If this does not align with what I've been taught through those things, then something should tell me that it's not right. I mean, it's just really that cut and dry.
Well, but the thing is, you have to leave it up. You can't leave it up to interpretation of man.
Right.
Because I'm going to sit and read the same Bible probably that you read and get interpretation.
Well, you can definitely twist and turn, and that's why we try to focus on the King James version, because we feel like it's the most closely translated. But it can definitely be twisted.
But there was 13 books that was sliced and diced.
Right.
So again, and so I read it for myself. I have a personal relationship with my God. He calls me He calls me by my name.
Amen.
Let me tell you experience, because I love to tell my story.
I love that.
Okay, so I'm in a deep meditation, right? I'm in prayer, girl. It's going. I'm speaking in tongues. Okay, I'm doing it. All of a sudden, he says, "Baby, I have a gift for you." Just like I'm sitting here talking to you,
right?
You do, Father? He goes, "Yes." He says, "But before I can give it to you," he says, "you have to change your level of influence and you have to change your frequency."
Ooh.
And I'm saying, "Now, what are you talking about?" He said, "You'll get it." So I joined a women's drum circle.
Ooh, I love those.
Christine, let me tell you, it was goddesses on fire. They were screeching and screaming, and they had tambourines going, and they was beating on the drums, and they had these lights up in the ceiling, and we all laid on our back, and people did Reiki. I mean, it was euphoric. It was great. And I mean, it could be a 2-year-old or a 92-year-old, a person with cancer, people there was women in there that were deaf.
Wow.
And they were feeling the energy and the movement.
Yeah.
So anyway, I come back home and I look at myself in the mirror, for about 15, 20 minutes, because I wanted to really see who I was. I could see the influence. I could see the change. So I get online and I say, okay, so now he says I need to change my frequency. Well, I did, because I went to the drum circle. Right. Now I need to change my level of influence. So I get online and I find this networking group. Okay. Here I am visiting with some more white folks. Because
I was mix it up.
Well, yeah, but I was the only piece of pepper in the salt shaker.
Oh.
And I go way on the other side of town, girl. I was dressed up. I was looking like brand new money. I was smelling good. And I was talking to myself all the way when I got there. I was manifesting what was going to happen. I said, oh, they're going to love me. They're going to be so nice to me. I'm going to make some contacts. I'm going to make some business, blah, blah, blah. When I got there, I swore I had walked into a beehive. These women was like, honey, come here, honey. Sit next to me. Oh, sweetie, honey, would you like this, honey, baby, honey? I was like, wow, this is working. I sat there, and the keynote speaker, there was about 80, 85 women in the room. Keynote speaker gets on the stage, and I had introduced myself. I had surveyed the room, because I was new and I was new.
Right.
Do you know that she turned that audience over to me?
Wow.
She said she loved my energy. She loved my spirit. She loved my vibe and what I was about and what I was doing. She said, every single woman in this room needs to give me their business card and do business with me. Girl,
wow.
I wasn't cute then. The eyelashes was coming off. The mascara was running. There was a line. There was a line to meet me. I didn't know people. Again, these were not, quote unquote, my tribe. Okay. This was a whole different set of circumstances. So, Brains, we bring this to you for you to open your mind up to new experiences, to be open to what somebody's going to say, to change your frequency, to move your level of influence, because you don't never know what's on the other side. Like I said, you don't know what you don't know. Am I right, Christine?
You're right. And I also think there's something about taking divinely inspired action. Like as you feel inspiration come in, you need to act on it immediately. I think a lot of times we shelf it and think, oh, I'll come back to that. I'll wait and see what happens. And it's in those moments like you did, where you just said, I'm going to go to this networking group. I'm going to make this happen. It's taking that inspiration and moving on it that really opens up the opportunity to be living in your purpose.
That's right.
To really become the person you're meant to be.
Right. And you have to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, that's what Jack Canfield always teaches too. And I agree. I think that a lot of times we allow fear to stop us. And yet there's actually a song that was on the Hitch soundtrack called Happy. And one of the lines in it is if fear is all we have to fear, then what are we so afraid of? Mm-hmm. And I think, how much does fear stop us in our tracks? And yet if we just push through it, we noticed that the fear was truly false evidence appearing real, and that there was really nothing to be afraid of. Right. And things just open up, like a whole world opens up to us when we will feel the fear and take action anyway.
So tell me about some of the work that you do or you've done with Jack Canfield.
Sure. Oh gosh, I gotta say, I just absolutely adore Jack Canfield. So in 2017, I was kind of like trying to live in my purpose. I was like, I knew what I was supposed to be doing in my life, and I just couldn't seem to find anything that was really speaking to me. And a friend of mine told me, hey, Jack Canfield's going to be coming for a one-day thing, his one day to greatness that he always does. And she's like, do you want to go with me? It's buy one, get one. We can split it. And I said, sure. And then as we got closer to the day, and I was working a full-time job, and I thought, here I have this day off. I mean, I would love to just stay home and stay in bed and just relax, recoup. As we mentioned, I've got 5 kids, so sometimes you just need downtime. And I was kind of making excuses of like, I don't really feel good. I don't know if I really want to go. And then I'm thinking, do I want to forfeit the money? It was $75. And I'm like, I'm weighing it. And she was supposed to pick me up, and I messaged her and said, just go on and go without me, but save me a spot. And just something kept pushing me, like, even though I really wanted to just call in sick, basically tell her I'm not making it and just stay home and be in bed, something really pushed me to go ahead and go that day. And when I got there, she had found a seat on the front row. And so I walked to the front row, and this huge crowd of, like, who knows how many people, probably 400 or 500 people. And I sit on the front row, and I mean, I was just captivated. I mean, Jack Canfield has such a spirit about him, and in his speaking truth, and his message resonated so strongly with me that I realized this was the missing piece for me to really move forward in what I felt I meant to do. So I immediately signed up to become a certified trainer for his success principles, and then went to their BTS that next August. The following August of 2018, I went to his Breakthrough to Success, which we say BTS. And it was life changing. I mean, just, I had a direction and I knew my purpose and I knew what I was supposed to do in my life, but it just brought everything in and made everything make sense. And so from there, I started doing workshops, teaching some of the success principles. And I'm currently working on a book called Success Principles for Marriage, and talking about how you can incorporate these principles into your relationships. Because truthfully, I think relationships are the foundation of everything, right? Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your spouse, your children, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, your business, even
And
your relationship with
God.
money.
And
Yeah,
God.
and God. Yeah, especially that relationship. And our relationship with money, our relationship with food, like everything is really about relationships. So if we can understand how we can, sort of take 100% responsibility for our lives and shift our relationships, it kind of changes everything in our whole world.
It
So
does.
Jack Canfield has been instrumental in everything I've done since that moment,
Wow.
with what he's taught me and what I've been able to learn from incorporating those principles, which I already knew the principles. I just didn't know it in the way he taught it. And
Right.
so when I learned it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I was doing with this. That makes sense. I just didn't have a name for it or knew how to explain it to other people
Yeah,
of
well,
the things
exactly.
I'd done.
So now you're coaching, but in addition to that, you started you became an author.
I became an author. Yes, I'm
Right.
excited about that.
You're in an anthology. Where's that book at?
Oh, let me grab it. It's right here. Here we go. Women Who
Hold up.
Empower.
Women Who Empower. 30 stories to empower your heart and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you
And
to
there's me
define this.
back here,
Where you at? Look at this. Is
right there.
me. Let me ask you a question, because you know what? I love definitions too. I'm a wordsmith. I'm a poet.
Yes, me too.
Yes, you are. So check this out. What is the word empowerment? Because people toss that around like
They
$20 bills.
do. They do.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Well, to me, and I've looked up the formal definition, but don't have it memorized. But to me, it's really when you help people own their own power.
Mhm.
It's like, I think sometimes we just don't give ourselves permission. And yet somebody else can be talking to us, and something they say or something they advise us of will all of a sudden help us realize, wow, I have the power to do that. So in my mind, to empower someone is really to help them understand their own power, or to give them their power,
Right.
which you really can't give to someone. You just really help open it up.
Exactly.
Right?
Because you'll see I'm an empowerment coach. How in
Right.
the world are you going to empower me? I empower me. Okay. All right. You might be able to put the gas in the car, but baby, I'm the one that
Right, drive it.
I'm the one that drives. Okay. So, empowerment, that's a lot of responsibility, because,
Mhm.
or they'll say I'm a transformational coach. What you going to
Right.
turn me into a pumpkin? I chuckle at that because you don't have my life experience.
Right.
Again, I don't have your life experience. We can come together, we can merge,
Mhm.
we can share, but to actually make a transformation, to make a difference,
Right.
to make me transform, you gotta have some secret sauce.
Well, truthfully, I don't think that anybody has the power to transform except God.
That's right.
So kind of bringing it back to that. So I think in my coaching business, one of the things I work on, um, is to help women connect with God, to help them, because a lot of people get disconnected. Even me, as strong as I've been, there's times where I'm just not as connected as I want to be. Kind of, you were talking about how God talks to you, and same thing. I think we hear him the same way we would communicate with others. He talks to us in our language, right? In our ways that we understand. And there's times where I've been so solid with him. I mean, I feel like I'm having conversations with him in my car. I feel him with me everywhere I go.
You
And then
are.
there's times where I'm like, is the line disconnected? Where are
Oh,
you?
right. I need to charge
Right.
my battery. My cell phone is dead to God.
Right. And so that's one of the things in my coaching that I work on, is trying to help women who are open to it. I mean, they've got to be open. Not everybody has those same
Right.
beliefs. And so when they're open to it,
Everybody is not your client.
right. Yeah.
That's
No,
another
that's for sure. That's
that's
why I
another
think,
thing, brains. You trying to cast this wide net and trying to catch, a whale, and you're gonna end up with some sardines.
right. Well, and I think that also we create this feeling of competition.
Right.
Oh, like that person's doing this and that person's doing that. And that's, like, where's there room for me, rather than having an abundance mentality. There's enough business to go around for every single type of coach, because every single person needs some level of coaching. I mean, at some point, we all need somebody to help us break those barriers. Most of us are not as self-directed as we would like to be. I mean, I have a coach, because as much as I coach myself, there's times where I just get in my own way.
Right. And
I mean,
again, when you look for a coach, you look for someone. See, me, I've never had a coach. I've
oh,
always had
wow.
I've always had mentors. I've
Yeah,
coached
that's nice.
others, but I've always been afforded the luxury of being taken under the tutelage of some amazing, amazing
Oh, that's
men
awesome.
and women. And you guys are gonna laugh, but I have a 12-year-old mentor.
Oh, wow.
12-year-old mentor. The person does not have to be older than me, doesn't have to
Right.
have life experience. And I'm telling you, the things I learned is unbelievable. And I will call and check in heartbeat. Hi, Miss April, how you doing? Talk to like I'm talking to a 50-year-old woman. But again, so you can learn from anybody,
You can.
if you take the time and if you want to do those kind of things. Uh,
Right.
Mentors and coaches are people that we really look up to, that we value. But I
Hmm.
need to see it oozing out of you. Okay. You just can't sell me a bill of goods. You just can't tell me anything, because I'm going to challenge you. And if I don't see you walking the
Right.
walk, talking the talk, I'm out of there. I'm not in
Right.
trickery. And that goes for the church too. Amen.
Yeah.
If I'm
Amen.
sitting up there and I'm giving my love offering and I'm hallelujah and I'm clapping and all that, and then I see some indiscretion from the pastor,
Right.
I'm out of there, because I'm looking
So
at you
true.
as a shepherd. And
Yep.
I'm not a follower. I'm not a real good follower. I'm a leader.
Yeah.
But again, I need to see it exuding out of you. We all make mistakes, but you can't be making 2, 3 mistakes with the choir director coming out the hotel and all that, and have babies and all this other kind of stuff, and drinking and all that, and then you're gonna come up on Sunday and tell me what to do. So there is the
Right.
ability of discernment. Even though
Right.
you go to mentors and coaches and pastors and all these people, you got to know your own mind. You've got to make up
So
your
true.
own decisions. You've got to be able to edit and filter and get your information from a couple different sources. Would you agree,
So
Christine?
true. Absolutely. And I think also, one thing I notice about coaches that kind of turns me off, I think everything I've gone into is because somebody in that industry turned me off, and I think I can do something better to help people. But I think that a lot of coaches aren't vulnerable and authentic enough. In other words, like, no one's perfect, right?
Right.
But a lot of these people want to put themselves on a pedestal and say they are perfect so that everybody thinks, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so great. I'm kind of like you were saying, you got to walk the walk, you got to show me that you really mean it. And a lot of people kind of put up pretenses because they don't want anybody to see that they're human. And
Right.
I think it's really important. I'm kind of an open book, and sometimes maybe a little bit too open. People know my mistakes really pretty upfront, past mistakes. If I'm make a mistake now and I'm like, I got called out on it by a friend. She's like, I don't really like that you did that, and didn't feel like it was really aligned with who you are. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I made a mistake. Thank you for pointing that out,
Right.
and I apologize, and I
And
don't act like,
bullshit.
yeah, I don't try to smooth it over with bullshit, and I don't try to act like, oh no, it's not that, you must have misunderstood, and I mean, we all have reasons why we behave the way we behave, or why we do the things we do, or miss something, or mess something up.
You know what
But
about coaches? You
mhm.
can't be a coach if you're still a trainee. Okay.
At least not in what you're
If,
coaching on, right?
if you're sitting there on the bench and you've been on the bench the whole time, now all of a sudden you want to be coach. And I see, not all, but I see coaches that are just really disgruntled employees.
Right.
So okay, well, I was in human resources. Oh my God, I was there for 20 years and we did this merger and we did that. And now all of a sudden you are the subject matter expert on labor laws and you can just turn an organization around, you
Right.
know, and they
You
don't
want to see the
believe it.
proof.
Right, right,
Right.
right. And that's not all of them, but there are some dynamite coaches.
You
Don't
really have to be discerning. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. And I think that's why, um I know when I'm talking to somebody new that I'm going to work with, we kind of almost go through an interview process, and not
absolutely,
just them interviewing
absolutely.
me, but me interviewing them. And do I feel like this is going to be a fit? Am I going to be able to provide what looking for. I mean, I focus a lot on relationships in my coaching. And I mean, I'm a certified not success. I do success principles, but I'm also a certified professional success coach. And I focus a lot on relationships. And so when I'm talking to someone, I'm kind of like, am I going to be able to, you know, help them get from where they're at to where they want to be? Do I have the experience, expertise from where they're at? Because obviously, I mean, there's people ahead of me in their relationships, right? I'm not reached the holy grail of everything in life. And so if I feel like I can't do what they need me to do, or if I feel like they're not going to be a willing vessel,
Absolutely.
people have to be willing. They have to be willing. And I think sometimes people want to change their lives, but sometimes they want other people to make that happen for them, rather than realizing a coach is somebody just like in sports. They don't do the work for you. They're not out on the court with you or out on the field with you. They're coaching you to tell you how you can do it better, what you can change, what you can switch. A golf coach tells you, hey, this is what you're doing in your swing. This is how you need to adjust that. Um, and if they don't follow it, then they're not going to get the results that they want. And so I also look for that when I'm talking to a potential client. Like, does this person seem like they're going to actually follow the counsel I'm giving them as we go through this process? Are they going to be open to it?
I only take 5 coaching clients a year, and I only have 5 hours that I work with them. I'm not one of them 3 months. That's Mr. Madison's time. I need you to be in it to win it.
Okay? Right.
I need you to do the homework. I need to be accountable. I have a checklist of what we're going to go over. I'm not here to change you. See, a lot of times people think that I don't want to change you. I want to enhance you.
There you go. I love that.
I want to put the lipstick on the pig. I want to make it as pretty as possible. I want you to feel good about yourself, but I still want you to have your personality. I want you to have your charm. I want you to make money. That's another thing. People get so caught up with that money relationship. Look, they print that stuff every day. And I can't have all the money in the world. It's not all meant for me.
Right.
I want you to win. I did a graduation for one of my mentees. She was selling cupcakes. Cupcake girl out of her house. When I got finished with her in 5 hours, baby's business went up 300%.
Wow.
300%. She thanks me to this day. And I said, you did the work, but it's taken a step back. And she kind of had an idea of what she wants. See, I need people too that have an idea of what they want.
Right.
Don't come with a blank canvas and want me to paint your picture and color in all the white spaces. I need for you to at least know how to color inside the lines.
Right.
I need to know what you want this to look like. And so that's what people need to do before they consider getting a coach, is to do some self-discovery.
Well, and I think certain coaches are good at doing self-discovery with people, because I think a lot of people, like I mentioned before, kind of just get in their own way. So one of the things we do in my practice is we do a meditation called life purpose meditation. And in that meditation, you kind of get a feeling. Again, in meditation, we know we're connecting with our higher power, our higher self, God, whatever it is that people see it as. But you're kind of connecting and getting an understanding of what it is you're here to do. Because I think everybody has a unique mission, a calling, something that they were born to do. And for some people, it is in parenthood. And for some people, it might be in their career. And for some people, it might be in their service. I mean, there's a million different ways that people are called. And I think some people think, oh, I must not have anything significant because I don't do anything significant. But yet we all have our part, right? There's no unneeded pieces. Everybody has their part and their role in the world. And so I think that the problem is that a lot of people don't know that they have that. Right. They don't know they have a life purpose.
They don't allow themselves permission.
Sometimes they're just not still enough. We're just sometimes going, especially in the US.
When God was talking to me, I was still.
Right.
But I wasn't still when I heard those drums beat. I mean, every part of my body was moving. I was like, what? My eyeballs inside the sockets was moving. It was
right. Well, you feel the beat, and like you said, that frequency and that vibration. And I think that's another thing is that, and I think this is particularly true in the US and I'm sure everywhere because it's human nature, but the US just has this mentality of do, like it's just never enough. you got to do more, you got to be more, you got to make more, you got to have more. And it's a real kind of unhealthy thought pattern that we have. And so, now I'm kind of working on like, let's slow it down. Let's slow it down and see what do you
Well,
really need, and
COVID
kind of
has
learning
done
that.
that.
That has.
That's the perfect pause, because you didn't have nothing but a year plus, because we, they thought when
Right. Still working on it.
yeah.
Right.
So it's the perfect pause. But this has just been riveting, because this is not what we had planned on talking
No,
about things.
not at all.
But like I said, when God shows up, he shows out.
Right.
But he wants you to give a testimony about how you are perceived, and how you receive, and how you deliver. You don't have no choice but to talk about it. So I thank you so much, sister. This has been wonderful. And I want my brains to know how to get in contact with you, in case they need to level up.
Absolutely.
Tell them how to get to you, baby.
So I do have a website, and it's www.christinelavulo.com. And so Christine is with a CH, Lavulo, Lavulo. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Christine Lavulo Coaching. And I have a phone number, 801-898-2744. Send me a text. Tell me you want to do a discovery call, and we can see if that would make sense to work together.
Well, I can't see how it couldn't. And I really don't, because this is the recipe for success. And it's about learning and being open. And you know what? If you're not following the same biblical principle, she's going to honor that and respect you.
Absolutely. I think that we're all individuals, and everybody's at a different place in their path, and everybody has a different way of seeing things. Oh, and quickly, if you want a copy of this book, it's on Amazon. Women Who Empower.
Pull it up just a little bit so they can see, and give them, pull it back a little bit, because that's got it. We want, and I'm going to put the link to that on the bottom so that people can get them, and to talk to you about what's inside the pages of that book, what you're pouring into people on an organic level, what is going to allow them to blossom and to grow. And you have just been so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, April.
I'm glad that you're doing good, and get you some rest with them 5 kids, girl. And that 6th kid, that husband of yours, I'm glad he's doing.
In fairness, most of my kids are grown. I've got 3 adults, but we think grown kids are gonna.
A kid, girl.
Yep.
Wait till they need their electricity bill paid, or they need you to babysit, or what you cooking for dinner. They're always.
Or I need a ride. My car's broken.
Exactly. But you are not broken. You are whole, and I am just so glad to have you, my sister, and I love you.
Thank you, April. I love you too.
And I honor you.
I honor you as well. Thank you. This has been a pleasure.
All right, Brains, get yourself together. All right, find you a good coach. Get your relationships together, and find a higher calling. Whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to be, but find a higher calling. Know that there is someone not equal to, less than, but greater than yourself.
Amen.
Talk to you later.